This week's edition of Church Media Design TV is sponsored by Print Management Solutions. Welcome to another edition of Church Media Design TV, tips, tricks, and how-to for you, the church media designer. I'm your host, Brad Zimmerman, and I am so glad to be back behind the desk of Church Media Design TV. As you know, normally we come to you every week. We've been off for a while, but we are back coming to you with tips and tricks of how to use media to effectively share the story of Christ. We want to use the media that surrounds us to share that story so that others can come to know Christ. And joined with me every week is the three, actually it's not three anymore, we have the Fearsome Fivesome. We have Sean Spencer and Burton Guster, also known as Sean and Gus from one of my favorite shows, Psych. They are the newest addition to the Bobblehead family. We also have Little Whitey, Colonel Sanders, and of course, Jesus Christ, the Son of the Lord Most High. Well, in this week's edition of Church Media Design TV, we're going to be giving you a whole bunch of tips and tricks, and we're going to be stepping into After Effects to talk about match moving and motion tracking and how that can make some really cool videos and what I've been up to while I was gone. So if the Fearsome Fivesome are ready, let's get into it. Like I said before, there's been a lot new going on, and just a quick rundown of what's happened since I left you last. Me and my wife bought a house. We are currently in the basement of that house recording the show. We now have a studio that I don't have to set up and tear down every week until we finish the basement, but for now it's my studio. And so we got that. We I broke my hand. Around Christmas time, I broke 2 bones in my hand, and those are healing up, even though I have a weird bump on my hand now. As well as I did some videos and went out to a convention in Denver, Colorado, and we're going to be talking about some of the videos that I did for that. Also, there's a brand new website coming out. It should be out the day that you see this. You can head over to ChurchMediaDesign.tv, check out the brand new site. It's going to be so much easier for you guys to use and find stuff. You can search for backgrounds, you can search for keywords. You could just search like star background, and you would find all of the backgrounds that have stars in it and are backgrounds. And you can search for colors. So if you're looking for like a background that has yellow in it, you can just search yellow background and you'll find all of the backgrounds that I tagged with yellow. So it'll be a lot easier for you guys to find all of that stuff. It's also not in Flash, so it's going to be mobile friendly, and I'm just really excited about the site. I'm sure there's going to be issues. I'm sure there's going to be a problem, so if you guys notice anything, let me know so I can try to fix it, but I'm going to do my best to get that site up and running and as fast as possible for you guys so that we can have a better way to communicate, as well as a whole bunch of new stuff that we'll be talking about later. So that's a little news. Let's hit you guys with some resources. Well, let's reach into the stockpile and grab you guys some great resources. And the first one, of course, is some great freebies for you. It's from Bitbox. He has Free Texture Tuesday always, and this is a great set that I think is very useful. Sometimes it's like, okay, thanks for random textures that I'm never going to use. These ones you'll use all the time. This is black and white grunge textures, and these are a great way to make your text look a little grungy. These are great mats to use inside After Effects. So there's some really good ones in there. You can check those out. As well as we can jump over to something else free, and this is from PSDToots.com. And this again is a set of awesome watercolor brushes volume 1, totally free. These are high quality 2000 by 2000, so those are super cool looking. And then last but not least, we got artbeats.com, and as you can see here, crazy amounts of video going on the screen, but what they have going on is a daily free clip. And so you can click on the daily free clip, and every single day, I think it's every day of the week. It might just be Monday through Friday, but they have a free clip of stock footage. All you have to do is have a registered account, and you can get that free clip. So you can head over to artbeats.com to get some free footage, PSD Toots for some watercolor brushes, and of course bitbox.com for some black and white grunge textures. Well, this week I got a little interesting tip for you. We have been streaming our gatherings for quite a while, all year actually, and because of the oldness of our computer that we use to stream from, I'm a little worried about running a separate audio application to record the sermon audio versus what we're using to stream. And so what I've been doing is using a program called FLV2MOV, and right now the website is down in some weird park domain, but it used to be a piece of software that converted your FLV into an MOV file, and I was able to extract the audio out of that and turn that into our podcast feed. Now this would take like 25 minutes, and I'd have to make a video file and then extract the audio out and then edit that audio. And it was this big mess. Well, recently I was like, I gotta find a better way to do this. And so since when we're streaming, we record locally a .flv file, which are notoriously bad files to work with and are kind of weird to try recompress, and programs just have problems with them overall. So this site Mota, I don't know, it's moitha.net, created a little program. It's a Windows program called FLV Extract, and it's really interesting and cool. You can download it from the website, and if you open up the program, you don't install it, it just opens up this little guy here, and all you need to do, so this is our FLV file of the gathering. You can see here we got, all this stuff going on. So the cool thing is if I drag this here and I say, let's just do audio, forget about the video and time codes, I'm just dragging that file there, and what you'll see happen is it's going, and at the end it'll finish off. And it's only going to take us about a couple seconds, and it's already finished, and now we have a MP3 file, and the properties of that, it's a 72 meg, which is an hour long, so it's a pretty hefty, big MP3 file, but our audio has been extracted. Now we can also try this for video and audio together, so I'm just going to drag this here again, and do we want to overwrite this? We'll just say yes to all. It's already on the desktop. So we're just going to extract this out. And again, the cool thing about the way this program works is it's not actually recompressing anything. So you're not, what I was doing before is I was compressing it into an MOV and then recompressing it again into a MP3 in our final version. And all this is doing is ripping out the audio and video and putting it in a better format for you to use. It's basically throwing it into a new container, or taking it out of that FLV container and putting it in its normal container of an MP3 or a AVI. Now there's a issue here, suggested cropping. So I'm not really sure what's up with the video, but I don't use it for the video anyway, so it's not something that I normally run into. So this is a great program if you want to be able to take that audio out of those FLV files, if you're streaming on Sunday mornings or you have some FLV files that you need to just get the audio out without running into that big pain. So check out mota.net and grab some FLV extract. We want to say thank you to our sponsor, which is Print Management Solutions. If you have a printer in your office that you're dealing with, or you have multiple printers in your church or office, Print Management Solutions is here to help. They have great packages, which include you can get a printer, or you can just get a service contract, or you can lease or buy outright. And when you get that printer, you're going to be able to tell how much ink you need for it. You're going to get a maintenance contract, so all of your maintenance, all of your ink is all covered in the package. You pay a low monthly fee, and everything's taken care of, and it's going to be a better deal for you than your old printer and buying ink through that, because you're actually going to get a better price. It may not seem like it at first, but once you do the math, you're going to figure it out. And we actually use this at our office, and just recently we were doing a big print project and we were out of ink, and the cool thing is they ship next day. So we went and ordered online. It was really quick and easy. We ordered all of what we needed, and the next day all of our ink showed up. So I want to encourage you guys to check it out. You can go over to printmanagementsolutions.biz, click the sign up button, insert your information, and make sure in the promo code to put ChurchMediaDesign.tv and let them know where you heard about it, and you're going to get a great promo offer as well as you're going to help us out. So check out printmanagementsolutions.biz. While I was on break, one of the big reasons that I wasn't able to do the show is I had a very large project that I was doing. I was making some videos for a youth convention, and it was a very interesting project. Prior to this, I had done videos for them in the past and kind of set the bar really high, and so I was kind of trying to figure out, well, what do I do this time? How do I incorporate this subject? And I started getting intrigued by this whole idea of match moving, and the best way to help you understand what I created was for you to check it out. So check out this video that I created for Love Mercy. Well, as you could see in that video, we had some text that was a part of the scene. It looked like it was in the city streets. It was on those buildings all over the place. And I did this by using a process called match moving. And what match moving is it actually you take it and you run your video through a program, and it analyzes and it picks out points in the scene, and it analyzes the motion, and then what that does is it makes a 3D camera that you can use inside After Effects or Cinema 4D or Blender, any 3D capable application. After Effects is 2.5D, but it still has 3D cameras. So any 3D capable application, and it pulls out a camera that has the same movements of your video. So you would throw your layer down in After Effects, and as the camera moves around in there, you also have a camera in After Effects that's moving around the same way. So if you put a piece of text on the page, the camera's going to move around and it will look like the piece of text is part of the screen. Now, this process was developed for movies like Jurassic Park, where they needed to put giant fake dinosaurs in real footage. This is now used in all sorts of stuff. You see it every single day on television and in movies. It's a very common process. And the interesting thing is you can do this for very cheaply. There's a company called Pixel Farm, and they make this product called PFHO. And this product, I think, costs $99. It's very inexpensive, comes on Mac and PC. I have the PC version, and we're going to be working through that, but it will be the same on the Mac. And so we're going to go through and just show you a little bit of how to use this. I'm going to run through a lot of stuff from PFHO today, but I just want to walk you through this process and show you what this could do to your workflow for videos for your church, and how you could take simple shaky footage from the streets of Chicago. So I took my camera down to Chicago and just filmed on the streets. I knew I wanted this kind of shaky look to it, so I didn't use a tripod. I just held my camera and just kind of moved around a little bit with it and got some interesting different spots. Made sure when I was shooting the video, though, that I had space to, set things on the ground or put it on top of a building. So let's jump inside After Effects and show you how to get started. So inside After Effects, you will see here that I have a piece of video footage. I'm just going to throw that on my new comp button, and it's quite large, and so we're just going to go to composition comp settings. We're going to change this from 1.33 rectangular pixels to square pixels. We're going to change our resolution to 1280 by 720. I'm actually going to just knock this down a little bit so that I don't have to worry about the resolution and all that business. Also going to conform this down to 30 frames per second and call that a day there. So now you can see we have a smaller comp. I'm just going to scale my footage down, and so here you can see we have our footage, and if I scrub through, you'll see that the camera just kind of wobbles around a little bit. And so what I want to do is I want to pick out what I like. And so maybe I like, you know, just a few seconds in here. Now, one of the big keys in doing this process is you want to have all of your video edited before you bring in and start doing match moving, because it takes a lot of time to go through and do all this match moving. So you don't want to go through and spend time on footage you're not going to use. And so when I did my videos, I actually went into Premiere, did a rough cut of the entire video and said, okay, I want this text here, and I kind of had to visualize how I wanted it all to lay out, and I cut it all down. Then I brought it inside After Effects like we have here, and we're actually going to export out a single MOV file, square pixels, very normal settings, and bring that inside PFO. Now, you can use a lot of different video formats with PFO, but this is going to give you the least amount of trouble and the least amount of issues. So let's just say we want, you know, we'll get some good movement in here, so we'll go from here at about, you know, 3 seconds. So I'm just gonna hit Alt in my left bracket, and that will bring in to there, and then we'll go to about here. So, and we'll do Alt right bracket, and then I'm just gonna bring this down, and if I hit the N key on my keyboard, it's gonna bring in my work area bar, and then I can right click and I can say trim comp to work area. Basically, all that did is chop off the ends of my clip, and then I made my composition the length of my clip by doing that trim comp to work area. So now we have our composition here. You can see we have a little bit of video going on. Now, if it was too dark or whatever, I could overexpose this to try help give some better definition. I could throw a sharpen filter on here just to help the tracker out a little bit. I think we're going to be totally fine with this. So now we're just going to do composition, make movie, and we're going to get rid of all these icons. I'm going to hit the tilde key, and that's going to bring up my render queue to full screen. The tilde just brings whatever pane window that you're in to full screen. So I'll be using this a lot in the future. And so we're going to go to our render queue, and I'm going to change my render settings. And we want to use that, but I want to change my output module from video for Windows to QuickTime Movie. And I don't want to do video output or audio output. I'm fine with that. And I'm going to use a format of photo JPEG at high settings. This produces a really quality piece of footage without having huge file sizes. So we're going to just hit OK, and we're going to render this out to the desktop, and we'll just call this our test. Hit save, and we'll render this out. I'm going to hit the caps lock key to shut off any previews, and you'll see that it renders out fairly quickly. So I went to launch PFO, and I hadn't done this before because I had been working in HD in my last project, and when I tried to import our half-res 640 by 360 video, it wouldn't launch or import, and so I went and exported out a HD version, and everything's working fine. So we're gonna go inside PFO, and we're gonna go to load footage, and on our desktop we'll see a couple clips. You can see these ones with the X's. That was our problem, but now we have 1280 by 720, and we're gonna load those in. So this is the camera wizard, and we're just going to hit cancel, and I'm not going to worry about the camera wizard. Now, you have a playback bar here, and you can watch and see the video. Now, we have a couple settings down here. First is one that says free motion. Now, we can say it's free motion or pan, and basically, is the camera on a tripod or is it being handheld? And it's been handheld. The next one is constant. And so this is this a constant or variable zoom? So is the camera zooming in and out as this footage is going on? And our lens is not changing, so there's no lens distortion going on that we need to worry about. So I'm just going to set this to constant. So now we have a couple new settings in here. So now that we have those set, we can look over here, and we have one that's calculate lens distortion. Now this is an interesting one that I haven't used, and I'm not going to end up using. Sometimes you can have some problems where your lens, if you're using more of a fisheye lens, this will actually figure out the curvature. So you can see how these lines are curving as they're going across, and maybe we'll see you can see here. So if we hit this, it's going to find all curves in our screen, and we can see and like click on one and say this is supposed to be a straight line, and it's going to try straighten everything out. Now I'm just going to undo that because I'm not going to worry about that. The next thing we have here is a mask, and what we can do is some scenes, let's just undo once more. Sometimes you'll have a shot of video and let's say a car drives through. Now we can't worry about that car because it's going to throw off all our lens calculations. So if there's any moving objects, you really only want to track non-moving objects in the scene. So what you need to do is you need to make a little junk mask and put that around any moving objects. And all that would be is a black and white piece of video that you're going to render out. You'll just animate the mask, or maybe you have a tree in the corner with leaves moving around, and you're just going to mask out the corner of that footage so that the program doesn't use that. All we would do is click on this button and load in a mask. We're not going to worry about that right now. We may cover that in the future, but now we're going to do track. So we're going to hit the track features button, and as you can see, it's running through, and it's going to go through all of our frames and track the data. And all of these little white dots you can see are points in which it says, I think this is a good point of the footage to track the data of, and you can force and so it's going through and tracking the movement of that object throughout the entire scene. So it's going to run through all the way down, and then it's actually going to come back and go backwards through the footage to check that out. So we'll skip forward here after this is finished. So the program has finished tracking out the data, and as you can see, if we grab our timeline marker, you can see all these little tracking dots are sticking to all their places and moving around. You can actually roll over a tracking mark, and you'll see where it's moving around, and you can see its track. Now sometimes you're going to have these with red and yellow, and they're not going to be great. So you can see here how it's got some yellow in it and a little red at the end, and that just means it's losing confidence. And you can see here, so it's losing big confidence in the end and not confident in that track mark as much as these other ones that are staying green all the way through. So the reason for this one being red is because you can see that there's some parallax going on where this tracking point that it's trying to track is actually like falling behind the wall. So what I'm going to do is, before we move on, I'm just going to delete that point. And you want to have as many points as possible. If we actually pull this up, you can see all of our data here of you know, how many points we have, and the more green it is and the more full it is, the better off we are. But if we see any bad points or any points that are subject or questionable, we can always get rid of them. So now that we have this done, we need to calculate, estimate the focal length and scene orientation. And what this is going to do is it's going to give us this box and this grid, and we need to tell the camera where this box would be sitting in the scene. Now, to be quite honest, this is my least favorite part of the process and what I'm least confident in, but we're going to try it out here. So I'm just going to grab these points, and I'm going to start lining them up with a square object in this scene, which I'm going to say is this dumpster. And so I'm just going to pull this up, and as you can see, the ground is starting to look pretty good as far as being... And we can, you know, lift it up or down, and we're actually, I'm going to hit the space bar, and that's going to bring up our options, and I'm just going to hit reset tool, and I'm just going to do that over because I was actually pretty confident in what I had, and I should have left it the way I had it. So we're just going to line this up and make a box on the side of this guy, and for the most part, this looks pretty good. I'm just going to pull it down just a little bit until I get it so it looks correct for my scene. We would be able to see in the top of that box, and this is something that you just got to mess around with. Again, this is my least favorite part of the process and what I'm least confident in doing. We're going to call that good for now. And now you can see our next one is we can solve for camera motion, so it's going to take that, combine it with all the tracking points, and that's when it's going to make the camera. So we're going to solve this, and this shouldn't take too long. And once it's finished, we're going to be able to actually reorient the scene and tell it which direction. We're going to be able to move the ground plane up and down, and then we'll export that out to bring inside After Effects. So now you can see that our camera motion has been solved, and you can watch these points, and you can see that there's some red points in here that are just not very confident. We got some issues going on. But overall, our marker here that we have on the screen of our 1 point is sitting pretty strongly. And so what I'm going to do, and what I would suggest you to do, is when you bring this inside After Effects, you're going to be given a whole bunch of null objects, which are those small little squares, and those are going to represent every single one of these spots. Now there's a lot of different spots in here, and actually when I was working on my project, I had been importing way too many nulls, and I was crashing After Effects because I had so many pieces of footage, so many null objects inside my composition that it couldn't add any more files to the composition folder without crashing the program. So I couldn't make a new text field, I couldn't add a new solid, nothing, because there's so many nulls. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a couple nulls that I like the position of and I think I might mess around with later. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to select, I'm just dragging around, and I'm just going to delete a bunch that I don't want because I'm not going to use them and I don't frankly need them. And I'm going to make sure these are strong oriented objects. So I'm going to like save this guy, I'll save this guy, maybe one of these guys on here. So I'm just going to drag and draw, and you can draw, you know, crazy lines around here. And I'm just using the delete key to remove some of these guys. So we'll leave, you know, a couple here and there. But for the most part, we're going to get rid of a lot of these guys. So let's get, well, let's leave that guy. Delete all these. And hopefully it'll leave us with a lot less stuff to worry about. And since the camera motion's already been solved, we don't need all of these points anymore. They can be helpful, but we don't need them. So I would much rather deal with 1 or 2 points that I like than bringing in hundreds of points that are no good. So let's leave a couple on the wall here that we might want to use, but all the other ones we're going to get rid of. So we have a select few left in here, and now we're going to go to our, we can adjust the overall scene position. So if I wanted to move my ground plane up or down, I could do that, but I'm going to leave it right where it's at. And now we're going to export for a 3D program. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Adobe After Effects, and it's actually a Maya camera. It's going to save out a .ma camera. And then I watched a couple different tutorials, and there's a few different links that you'll see on the website. They did some tutorials on AE-Toots. It's like ae.tootsplus.net or .com. See the link below. They did a 2-part series on how to use PFO, as well as Ron Stern did one over at Artbeats on how to use PFO to do all of this tracking, and they're very, very helpful. I would encourage you to check them out. I'm going to help you understand some things for our use, but to get a better grasp of the tool, it's great to watch all of these different ones. So if you want to know more about how to use this tool, check those out. One thing Ron Stern suggested is to change your scale factor from 100 to 500. What this is going to do is it's going to make all of your different null objects a little bit smaller inside your scene. It's going to make it a little easier to play around with and much more useful for you later. So I would highly encourage changing that to 500, and he said he messed around with it a bunch. It's going to save it out as a file name, and it should save it in the same directory as our footage, and we're going to hit OK. And now we have a where did that save it at? Browse. I'm not sure. Let's save it to our desktop. That would be much more useful. Let's save it with scale factor of 500. Hit OK. Okay, now we have it saved out, and now we can go back inside After Effects, and we'll hit the tilde key, and here is our comp, and I'm going to import file, and we're going to go to our desktop and import this .ma file. We'll hit open, and we're going to double click on this file, and you'll see that we have a whole bunch of null objects and then a camera. So if I go back into here and I copy and paste in place, which is Control Shift V, Control Alt V. Paste in place, and that will paste it right at your timeline marker. It's a good handy trick. The cool thing is now you will see, if we turn on all these camera or all these null objects, you'll see as we scrub along they stick with our footage, and we're inside After Effects. Just for kicks, we'll throw in some testing, and let's make it not such an ugly font. That doesn't fit our scene as well. Let's make it Century Gothic bold, and we can do that. Looks fine. And let's make that text 3D. And now if we push that text into our scene, maybe scale it up a little bit, and we move around, you will see that our testing text is part of the scene. Now I'll talk about a few issues and a few things that you need to keep in mind next week when we finish this out and show you a few different tricks that you can do to make some shots look really cool, relatively easy. So tune in next week as we check that out, as well as go to the website and check out those links to those other behind the scenes on how to use PFO, because they're very valuable tutorials that I would recommend checking out. So tune in next week as we finish up this project. Well, this week's inspiration has a little bit to do with our how-to segment. It actually has a lot to do with our how-to segment. And this is a video that was part of ae.tootsplus.com's 42 crazy awesome visual effects breakdowns. But basically, this is a list and a bunch of videos that show you what it took, kind of the behind the scenes of what it took to make commercials and movies and television shows. And this is that Dell lollipop commercial with the guys in the factory. I think it's a really interesting video, and I want to point out that everything that you see on the left side is real. For what I can tell, it looks like they built a lot of this stuff, and a lot of what was green screened in there was kind of interesting. It's interesting what they cut out, and you know, there's a Dell logo the wrong direction, a lot of different things in there. So check this video out.
Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop. Boom, boom, boom. Call my baby lollipop, tell you why. Her kiss is sweeter than a cherry pie. And when she does a shaky rock and dance, man, I haven't got a chance.
Treat yourself to a Dell Inspiron laptop with intelligent Intel processors. Dell, yours is here.
So if you want to check out more videos and breakdowns, you can go over to ae.tootsplus.com and check out the 42 crazy awesome visual effects breakdowns. I would highly recommend the link to the Stargate Studios and checking out their virtual backlot. They have super cool stuff that just kind of blows your mind on what's real and what's fake on TV shows and movies that you see every day. It's very, very interesting. And the cool thing is you can use PFO to do this kind of stuff, because you can do match moving and then green screen something amidst that scene. And I think we're going to try that maybe a little bit down the road, but for now we're trying to slowly get into this world of doing some compositing and trying some new things. So check that out. Well, this week's freebie is that Love Mercy video that you saw. You guys can use this totally free. I have the rights to the audio for it, as well as it's scripture, and I shot the video, so I'm guessing all of that stuff's covered. So if you guys want to download this, you can get this in widescreen HD as well as full screen church definition 800 by 600 in both MPEG-4 files and WMV files. So you can download those from the website. And speaking of the website, you can find all sorts of downloads in there, and you'll see video previews of all of these, so you can check out video on the website and see it before you download it. It's really cool. I'm really excited that you guys have a lot easier way of checking that stuff out. So make sure to head over to ChurchMediaDesign.tv and check those freebies out and download them today. I am so glad that you guys could tune in for this edition of Church Media Design TV. It's been so great to be back. I know we covered a lot of advanced / sometimes not advanced and a lot of different random stuff, but hopefully throughout this episode you learned something new, and hopefully you learned how to do media and use media more effectively so you don't waste time, so you can spend more time with people, and so you can spend more time worrying about the message that goes into the media and not necessarily worrying about how to use the media. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Again, I want to push that you guys go check out the website. Let me know what you think, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. And again, I'm sure there's going to be issues. I'm sure there's going to be problems, but I'd love for you guys to check it out. The other thing that you may not know as you're watching this is our show is now in HD. There will be a HD feed, and one thing you'll notice as we went through that tutorial, you never saw the screen zoom in or out or anything like that. We're now screencasting at HD resolution 1280 by 720, and hopefully even on the large size podcast feed, you'll be able to see buttons and all of that kind of stuff without having to zoom in and out. But we're also providing that HD feed, so if you want to see this in glorious HD, you can download that and you can see what I'm seeing on my screen at full screen, so you'll see my resolution. So we're not going to be doing zooming anymore. It's going to cut a little bit of time out of what it takes to produce the show every week, but we're going to make sure that that time we cut out, that we give you better tutorials and that we give you HD content and all of that kind of stuff. So I really want to encourage you guys to, if you want to subscribe to that, again, use a little more bandwidth. So if you don't need it, don't subscribe to it. But there's going to be now a large feed and a HD feed, and you can find all of the subscription options on our subscribe page at ChurchMediaDesign.tv. As well as you can leave a comment below and respond to other people's comments, and comments should be a lot nicer on this website than any other site before, as well as you can check out links to our sponsors, and you can send me an email and find me on Twitter, and all of our social links you'll find on the website, and you can click and find me on there and shoot me an email, brad@ChurchMediaDesign.tv. So I just want to thank you guys again for tuning in. I'm very excited for the new launch of the show, and I would love your feedback of what you guys think and anything that you guys think needs to change or more of something that you guys want to hear about or subjects. I'm just really excited to be back, and I can't wait to bring you guys shows every single week, and we are going to go back and do it full force and full gear. We're going to be coming out on Mondays every week, but this week we had to do Wednesday, but we'll have another episode coming out for you on Monday, so it'll be a short week with lots of different stuff going on. So thanks again for tuning in, and as for me and the Fearsome Fivesome, we're saying see you later.